The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
And good morning here at 5 a.m. Good to have you with us. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Alex Fisher, halfway through our work week. Your time is 5:02. At least one person was killed late last night northeast of Lamont in a possible vehicle versus pedestrian crash. According to the CHP incident information page, officers were called out south of Edison Road near East Panama Lane just before midnight for a man laying in the road wearing a black hooded sweatshirt and no pants. CHP reports a vehicle was at the scene when officers arrived, but it's unknown at this time if it was involved or just witnessed the accident. No further information available.
A deadly rollover crash just after 11 o'clock last night forced the closure of the northbound lanes of I-5 just south of Grapevine Road for several hours. CHP says they were called to the scene just after 11 o'clock for a two-vehicle crash. According to CHP in the incident information page, officers arrived to find one vehicle had lost control and flipped over. Northbound lanes of 5 was blocked and had to be shut down so crews could clean up the crash. CHP says one person was detained at the scene and a loaded firearm was found inside the person's vehicle. No further information has been made available. And a deadly crash that happened late yesterday morning in Tehachapi is still under investigation. CHP says it happened around 11 o'clock on Highway 58 and Mill Street. Details are still limited, but at least one person was killed. Officials said one of the vehicles involved in the crash was a fully loaded 53-foot cargo truck, and more than 100 gallons of diesel gas spilled into the roadway.
What appeared at first to be a deadly crash was in fact a shooting. Bakersfield Police responded to the intersection of California Avenue and Peace Street around 5:15 yesterday evening, and there they found a man inside a vehicle suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. That man died at the scene. Homicide detectives are investigating. If you have any information, call BPD at 327-7111, or you can remain anonymous by calling the secret witness line at 322-4040.
Just a few minutes before that shooting, there was another incident in North Bakersfield. BPD says the occupants of two cars got into an argument on F Street near 30th Street and began shooting at one another. It is not known if anyone was hit. BPD says both vehicles, described as light-colored sedans, took off. Detectives say this incident is not believed to be related to the homicide investigation on California Avenue and Peace Street.
And now to new developments in the high-profile murder case against Trezell and Jacqueline West, the adoptive parents accused of killing Orrin and Orson West. A judge has placed a gag order on the case, but a cryptic motion by the district attorney's office may signal that other children were witnesses. District Attorney Cynthia Zimmer wants virtually every aspect of this case kept secret. What we learned in her news conference March 2nd is just about all we know of the case against the Wests. Zimmer's office asked for and got even more secrecy yesterday. The Wests remain in jail, but prosecutors got a criminal protective order regarding visits with their other children. Details of the order are not public, but the Wests attorneys said in court yesterday that prosecutors are concerned the Wests will try to influence or intimidate the children about the criminal case. While not stated in court, the seeking of such a motion suggests at least one of the children may have witnessed a crime or has some knowledge of what happened to Orrin and Orson. One of the allegations against the Wests is that they induced a minor to assist in committing a crime. Trial is currently scheduled for May 23rd, but is likely to be postponed.
In your 17 Court Watch this morning, the man convicted of killing an 8-year-old girl in Bakersfield has been sentenced to 25 years to life. In March 2020, court documents say a video system inside an apartment on San Dimas Street captured Clint Mason brutally beating a girl with a belt and metal cane. The girl was taken to the hospital where she was pronounced dead. Coroner's officials identified the girl as Jeremiah Alexander and ruled her cause of death as multiple blunt force traumatic injuries. A family member said Mason was the live-in boyfriend of Jeremiah's mother. Following his arrest at a Motel 6 in Inglewood, Mason admitted to investigators that he beat Jeremiah to get her to complete household tasks after failing to do her homework. Charges of torture and child cruelty were dismissed under the plea agreement.
Education news now, and school boards and parents across Kern County are planning for an adjustment in school start times that comes with complications. 17's Chris Burton joins us now with more. Chris.
Maddie, good morning. Legislation passed in 2019 requires California schools to move to later start times by the start of next school year. We've been talking about it for a while, but during last night's board meeting, the Bakersfield City School District trustees discussed a proposed plan for adjusting bus routes ahead of the July shift. The coming change forces school districts to reconsider student allocation and transportation and concerns parents over how to get their kids to school.
We really can't change our work schedule. It is what it is. And so we have to work around what the new start time is at 8 a.m. We have to think about how is that going to affect our planning as parents.
Encouraging our parents
The plan proposed by BCSD officials moves 20 schools to an 8 a.m. start time and 22 to 8:50 a.m. It also aims to shave more than 50 bus routes from the district's schedule, which could require shuffling of students in those schools. The plan is set to be voted on in a board meeting in late April. In studio, Chris Burton, 17 News.
The U.S. has reached another milestone in the number of coronavirus cases. According to the latest NBC News tally, the United States has surpassed 80 million cases since tracking began. The increase comes 26 days after the country reached 79 million cases. More than 978,000 deaths have been reported so far in the U.S. This all comes as the BA.2 Omicron subvariant accounts for a third of cases in the U.S. However, health officials say that overall, infections are still declining from January's record highs. And now to the local numbers of coronavirus here in Kern County. Public Health's coronavirus dashboard was not updated yesterday, but Monday's update officials announced 140 new cases and 5 new deaths. State data shows 43 people are in the hospital with coronavirus in Kern County. 9 more are in the ICU.
LA County is joining the state in lifting its vaccine and testing mandate at indoor mega events, including for sporting events and concerts. Starting April 1st, people no longer need to show proof of vaccination or a negative test result. The move follows other restrictions that have been eased, including the lifting of the mask mandate. But authorities are still telling residents to be on alert, especially with the latest BA.2 Omicron subvariant that is highly contagious.
Well, if you want to get vaccinated against COVID-19 or receive your booster, the Boys and Girls Clubs of Kern County continues to offer free vaccinations. The organization is holding 2 clinics today at the Lamont Club on Segru Road in Lamont from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. and at the Armstrong Youth Center on Niles Street in Bakersfield from 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. For more dates, times, and locations, just visit our website, kget.com, and click the hot link icon.
5:36 from our 17 News follow-up file now. The city of Arvin has named a new city manager, filling a post that has been vacant for nearly a year. In November, the city council interviewed 3 finalists for the job, including Jeff Jones, the current interim Arvin city manager and finance director. Jones says he looks forward to continuing his work and says they've already solved Arvin's deficit issue.
Challenge right now is growth. We have a great foundation, and I think we're going to take off quickly with our growth. Our sphere of influence is increasing, and I believe the next 5 years will be very dynamic for the city.
Jones succeeds Jerry Breckenridge, who resigned as city manager last May.
Making news around the nation this morning, a tornado hit Louisiana last night, killing at least 1 person and leaving 20,000 people without power. The twister's severe gusts flattening homes and knocking out power to thousands seeking shelter. In New Orleans, in a neighborhood in New Orleans destroyed by Hurricane Katrina, it took a direct hit from one of these tornadoes.
6 Oklahoma high school students are dead after a crash with a semi-truck. Oklahoma Highway Patrol confirms that all 6 Tishomingo high school girls died in the crash. They were in a car that collided with a semi-truck at the intersection of US 377 and Oklahoma 22. It's not clear what may have caused the crash. High school officials say school will be in session today, but staff will focus on students' emotional well-being.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.